tell me about the founding story of Blue Diamond Heating and Air. What made you guys say, like, all right, we're doing this, we're going to be co-owners, we're going to win this together? It was back in 2019, so I think 5 years ago. What was kind of the genesis story here?
During the transition from a big company to a small company, we were able to learn kind of the ins and outs of how to operate a business. Through that, we kind of just had that entrepreneurial seizure, decided it was time to kind of make that leap of faith.
How are you finding good people? How are you competing in this market? How are you training them up? Do they have experience? Do they not? What do you look for? Like, walk us through what that looks like operationally.
I was taught a long time ago, it's morals and ethics that are probably the hardest thing to teach anybody. I can teach anybody how to turn the wrench, how to, show up to the door, things like that. It's the other things that are harder to replace. So for us, creating a training facility inside of our warehouse and our shop is the first way that we kind of combat, taking on somebody who has very little knowledge of what we do, but has all the right pieces put together on everything else.
All right. Welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast. I'm your host, Roland Leitenberg. I'm also the co-founder of House Call Pro. Since 2013, we've been on a mission to champion the trades and champion our pros because the work you do keeps our homes safe, comfortable, and communities running. Through House Call Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm excited today because we have both Brian and Donavan, co-owners of Blue Diamond Heating and Air, an HVAC company based out of El Cajon, California, just outside of San Diego. Used to be in San Diego, know this very well. They're aiming for $3.2 million in revenue this year with 10 employees, 2 in the office, 8 in the field, 7 service trucks. I'm super excited for these guys to share some tips with you all. They've built an amazing business super quick. They've got a wealth of knowledge. These guys are longtime super pros, growing fast. Brian and Donavan, welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Roland. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Nice. Yeah. Well, tell me about the founding story of Blue Diamond Heating and Air. What made you guys say, like, all right, we're doing this, we're going to be co-owners, we're going to win this together? It was back in 2019, so I think 5 years ago. What was kind of the genesis story here?
Well, I think a little bit of it starts with, obviously being in the field, being a technician, being out there doing it all ourselves, working for big companies, also working for small companies. During the transition from a big company to a small company, we were able to learn kind of the ins and outs of how to operate a business. Through that, we kind of just had that entrepreneurial seizure, decided it was time to kind of make that leap of faith, trying to do it young, wanted to be able to be there for the kids and the family and not have to worry about the business so much. So that was kind of like the big stepping stone for us. Me and Brian had been doing things out in the field, on the side, trying to create a culture around ourselves and kind of an idea of us, just out there with, any platform we could, being unlicensed. I think for us, the drive was really time. There was no better time.
Yeah. And to add on to that, we were both working for the same company for about 2.5 years. That other company started to change management. They ended up selling shortly after we left. So we kind of felt that within, and we're like, you know what, besides going to another company, we're young, we have the knowledge, we've been doing this for, about 8-9 years at that moment. So we're like, you know what, our dream was to always start a business. So I felt like it was the perfect time. And then, 3 months later, we're rolling into COVID. So it was definitely quite a ride, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that because I think, when you start a business, you are essentially signing up for all the uncertainty that comes with it. And then you guys had COVID that came knocking, which probably was pretty tough in the beginning, but ended up being quite a boom later on. How did you guys manage through that? And, you guys obviously worked together before, so you guys kind of knew each other's, strengths and weaknesses, but how did that all come together and how did you guys handle that?
Well, I think me and Brian are very good at trying to find solutions to problems. I mean, that's what we do for a living. For us, ignorance is bliss in that sense. Like, we looked at it as, hey, we just started the business. This is no different from, anything else. Everybody's going to be faced with these challenges. But for us, we saw it as an insight to maybe kind of hit some marks where some of the bigger companies weren't going to be able to do the same things. We branded ourselves, whether it was, having masks that were completely branded in Blue Diamond, had our names on them, just trying to do little things that made us stand out. But for us, we obviously went down the indoor air quality side with COVID, and started getting some contracts that way, and it picked up really, really fast. And yeah, I mean, it didn't seem to give us any issues at all, but we didn't know anything different either.
Right. That first couple months, I mean, definitely scary with all this stuff going through the news and things like that. But what we found is by the time summer got, it actually made a benefit for the trade industry. Everybody was now working from home. People that would normally be at their work that didn't know they had AC issues, or, hey, I'm now working in a home office. I don't have a lot of airflow in here. I got my computers in here now. I need like a solution to be comfortable and work. So we did see an uptick there. I think the big thing for us was memberships during that time, getting in and collecting memberships for reoccurring maintenance service. And that's kind of how we grew our customer base.
So let's talk about memberships, because I think like a lot of companies, they struggle, especially like early on. Clearly you guys have nailed it and it's like a key part of your growth. But what is your guys' membership plan? How does it work? What does it cost? Walk us through kind of like the mechanics of it.
It's an interesting one. I'm sure we'll get a couple comments based on this, but our membership fee is $119.99 a year. Covers two services. Our members are going to receive discounts off of that, bigger discounts than anybody would receive if they were just a standard client. We have 24 hours, 7 days a week emergency service for our membership clients, priority services, and it's quite easy to sell when we're talking about it. I mean, maintaining a piece of equipment, especially with the cost of what these things are nowadays, it's easy to translate to a client. It's just making them understand the importance of what we do and how we do it. And so often they've had these services before, but they're just used to, Chuck in his truck, just kind of wiping his finger across something, saying, hey, everything looks good. We do a in-depth, thorough cleaning of everything. We make sure everything's wiped down. We want it to look like it did the day we installed it. Obviously, we take a lot of pride. It's got our name on it, and we tell our clients that, yes, you bought the piece of equipment, but it's our equipment at the same time. So it's that's kind of the way we strive with that. We originally were trying to incentivize people of purchasing equipment with the membership, and we've navigated away from that. I mean, you're going to have learning curves through this whole thing. So I think we've got a good standpoint with it, but for us, it's an ability to get back inside the house. We all know that, right? So for us, yeah, we're not making a whole bunch of money on the actual membership, but for us, the amount of revenue that we see on the winter months and things like that for just going back to the clients that we've already been there, it's a huge uptick for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of pros, and you share some really good golden nuggets there, like, oh man, like for $119, like 2 truck rolls for that price, tech, truck, all the things, like you must be losing money hand over fist. Right. But I think what a lot of people miss out on is the simple fact that you have the opportunity to A, build a better relationship with your customer, B, you get to come in the home and help them with other things and services you might be able to offer that they might not even know that you offer because they booked you for someone else, originally. I think if you can do those two things, you can do it honestly and well, and you can price it in such a way that, maybe not you're completely losing something. I think it's a great path to building out that customer base, especially early on. If you do it from day one, oh my gosh, there's so many pros I talk to that are like, I wish I would have started this, day one, just collecting these, credit cards on file, et cetera, just to maintain those customer relationships. Because maybe one day, like you guys experience, obviously, you go to sell your business one day, and having that customer database is really huge. The value behind the business, not just like the trucks and the shop and all that kind of stuff, because that goes to zero.
Right. Yeah. And one thing too, House Call Pro does a really good job of is automation. So being able, a lot of the customers that do it, it's not they don't want to maintain their AC system. They only think about their AC if it's broken. So having that automation where, hey, you're getting not only an email reminder at 5 months in, then we're going to get a text message about 2 weeks away from that timeline. So they're actually getting those notifications. They can now book it on their time. They don't have to schedule, miss work to actually do that scheduling, or because now they can, they have it advanced. It's not a 911 issue. And then House Call Pro also has the templates. So when we actually go out there for a tune-up, every technician is going through a full checklist that we've made on the back end to make sure everything gets checked, because we all know when you have multiple technicians out, we want to do the same exact job every single time. And if we have a checklist and it's guaranteed, it's going to get done.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to highlight is setting a process and a procedure to how that all works, and starting in the beginning before you get down the road with 20 trucks or whatever it may be, and then you're trying to implement this. Implementation in the early stages is probably the best thing you can do, although it's a fear, like you're taking on all these other things. But if you're striving for success down the road, you're going to have to spend that money up front to make that stuff happen. And it's been very, very easy for us. Like Brian was saying, the automation, the email, text messages, everything that goes into that as a small business makes us look like a big business.
Right. Yeah. And that helps you command better prices and helps, customers retain, because like you said, Brian, it's not that customers don't want to do it. It's just they got busy lives. They got other stuff to do. And so just gently reminding them, if you're going to try to do that by hand across thousands of customers, good luck. You have full-time office people just doing that versus just simple automations. Set it up.
We actually put ourselves in that membership because I forget to tune up my own AC units. We have it for the office. I mean, so it's just something to automate, and once it's set up, don't have to remember, and it's going to get done at that point.
That's such a great golden nugget. Yeah, I love it. Is make yourself a customer in the system and run through all the things. Obviously, like membership included, but then you can see what the end consumer gets, what the end homeowner gets. You can kind of experience that that feeling a little bit. Tell me about your guys. You've been growing fast. You've been finding employees. You guys have a good strategy and a good philosophy in place to bring on board new people and then training them. Walk the rest of the listeners, the audience, kind of through that process. How are you finding good people? How are you competing in this market? How are you training them up? Do they have experience? Do they not? What do you look for? Like, walk us through what that looks like operationally.
We've had a couple scenarios. We've had, just being transparent, we've had the scenarios where we've been able to hire, one or two guys that we've worked with in the past, right? Somebody that we knew, we were able to, sell the dream, sell the idea. But we've also taken on, people coming from the restaurant industry, people coming from outside, trailer sales, things like that. I was taught a long time ago, it's morals and ethics that are probably the hardest thing to teach anybody. I can teach anybody how to turn the wrench, how to, show up to the door, things like that. It's the other things that are harder to replace. So for us, creating a training facility inside of our warehouse and our shop is the first way that we kind of combat, taking on somebody who has very little knowledge of what we do, but has all the right pieces put together on everything else. And from there, we tend to see a better experience, one, because we're investing time into our people and they see that, but they're also getting an investment back into them where the knowledge that we're training them, they're never going to lose. They'll keep for life. It's not an easy transition because even for me and Brian, it's a different role. As a small business owner, it's a different role for us, and trying to navigate that and making sure that we're giving our people everything that they need to be successful can be challenging. But asking questions, making sure everybody, stays on the same page, doing weekly trainings, weekly meetings, those things, if you're not doing things consistently, they usually fall off. That's what we find, right? If we're not tackling things on a daily basis or repeating things over and over again, a lot of the times it goes in one ear, out the other. So I think the constant training is a big aspect, but also seeing something in somebody that they may not even see in themselves. I mean, we've had people, hey, I don't think I can do this, right? And we're telling them, we want you for every reason that we see you as. We don't want you for the reasons of being able to do what we do. We can teach that, right? So I think that's part of our success. I think being good with our clients. I can't tell you how many clients try to refer us to, friends, family, people that want to get into the industry. And quite honestly, we'd hire more people. I mean, but we also want to make a culture. And I think that's important too. Hiring just any random person, anybody just randomly out there, even if they hit a lot of the marks, if they're not going to match that culture, it's a real quick way to disrupt the entire thing.
And what are some ways that you found to make sure that people are a culture fit? Like, what's the question Donavan asks, or what's the question Brian asks? Like, what do you do to figure out, like, yes, this is a culture fit, or no, it's not?
It's easier said than done. This is going to sound a little interesting, but we probably do 3 to 4 different interviews with the people that we're trying to hire, and think outside the box a little bit. We're not just hiring a person, we're hiring their family, we're hiring their wives, we want everyone to be on board. And we've noticed that when it comes to culture, if the wife doesn't understand it, if the kid, whoever it may be that's involved in that relationship is not on board, that it translates down the road. So that's one big piece, I think, for us. I think the way that you carry yourself. I mean, a lot of our job and what we do inside the house, you're judged pretty quickly, right? And I hate to say that that's what we do, but we have to make a quick judgment pretty quickly based on the way that you carry yourself and different things like that. You may speak wonderfully over the phone, but you're not keeping your hair cut. You look like a slob, whatever it may be. Those things for us, that's a culture breaker. You got to take care of yourself in order to be able to take care of other people. So I think that's a couple things for me. I'm sure Brian has some differences as well, but it's easier said than done. It takes a lot of interviews. It takes a lot of trial and error, getting them involved, but also getting our team involved too, Roland. I mean, it's important, right? Me and Brian may sit at the face of this, but it's everyone that's involved that makes this even possible. So making sure that they're involved is big.
And I'll say too, one of the last steps before you get hired, you will do ride-alongs before you actually get brought fully on team. So that way we can see how you interact with our employees, how do you interact with our customers, because at the bottom line, that's one of the most important things. It starts with our customers, then it's our employees, then it's our office. So if we're not taking care of the customers, then we're not taking care of the employees, and then the business isn't getting taken care of. So we like to start there first.
Yeah, I think the golden nugget there too is get your team involved, because they're really going to be shoulder to shoulder with these new hires. And if you have their buy-in, if they feel like they're part of that decision-making process, it's going to be better for the culture all around, rather than like, oh, Brian and Donavan just hired this guy because they knew him from high school or something.
Exactly.
Right? Or like something like that. It's like, no, you can buy it from everybody. You get that good culture.
And now you got your employees looking out for the culture of your own business, right? Now they almost make it a point to themselves to be like, this guy does not fit, or, and it's interesting, right? I mean, it makes our job a little bit easier because we can kind of identify things through everyone that we've put in position for that reason.
Yeah. And I go back to making sure that the people that they're working alongside every day are happy is so key, because one bad person can just spoil all the rest, and you might have good employees leave because of bad hires. So I love that part of your process. Tell me a little bit about, you guys are growing really fast. 2.4 last year, going to try to hit 3.2 this year, 50% growth. That's massive. What are some things that you guys are feeling is really working for you? Is it like a particular lead source? Is it a marketing thing? Is it a combination of things? But like, for people that are like, holy moly, these guys are growing fast. What do you guys think it is? And what's your strategic plan here to hit that goal?
So when we first started, we did have a different mindset. Like, at first we wanted to grow a business, but we didn't necessarily want to grow a very large business. We wanted it to be real, mom and pop style. Now at that point, we weren't putting, a whole lot into marketing. We weren't doing a whole lot. We were kind of just going after, friends, family, referrals, next door, Craigslist. Any low hanging fruit. That's what we did to get started. Now to actually get that engine rolling, we had to get onto Google My Business. We had to get really good reviews. some of the other outsourced like Yelp, going through all those different avenues. And then now we get into SEO, getting a very good website going. A big thing for us was our brand. We did do a rebrand in 2023. And I'll tell you what, the amount of uptick, because our biggest advertisements probably are trucks running around. We have 7 service trucks on the road, pretty much on the road about 12 hours a day. And those are just rolling billboards. Now, if you have very good branding, colors, easy to read, the traction of when you see that van versus just blending in with all the other ones. So I think that was huge for us that year in particular. I mean, we saw over 150% growth in revenue and then about a 35% growth in profit, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'd say, to Brian's point, the branding was a massive thing, and I think we had 2 years in business before that branding thing happened, so we had a little bit of a standing on Google and things like that. But I really think, Roland, the honest answer to this is continue doing what you do great. Don't change. As you get bigger, there are things. Egos get there. I mean, there's a lot of things that can come into the play. But as long as you continue to do what made you get to this point, if you continue to do those things, I feel like there's really no way to lose. It's taking care of the clients. It's doing what's right. By challenging ourselves to always do those things, although they can be tough sometimes, what we get is a good client referral. And we know, just like anything else, the client referral is the best referral you can get, regardless of the 5 stars. It's all those other things solidify what the referral came across as. But, ultimately, when we take care of people and we do things the right way, we stand behind our word. I mean, that's the money.
And I think too, we go after the high efficiency, the high end jobs. We're looking to make a difference. So AC has been the same for the past 40, 50 years. Technology has changed drastically. So a lot of times, we still people, installing the basic, builder grade units where, our basic setup is kind of like our mid tier. And then we go up from there. And, what you promote, what you sell, you're going to align with certain customers. So if you want to, get the cheap customers, you're going to have the cheap products, the cheaper, installs, things like that. So we kind of moved our company to, we want to be looked at premier, high quality. And at the end of the day, the customers are more happy with the product. We have more ability for better warranties, guarantees. And I feel like it's a win-win. The customer's getting a better product. And then us as the business, we get a better reputation, easier to work with products, and a longer guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, and hitting that facet for us, it starts getting you into a different realm of person as well. Like those people that are looking for high-end quality, have the knowledge, they've done the research. We've got people going on Reddit. We've got people going on YouTube to look these things up. And knowledge is power, and there's a lot of knowledge out there, but not all of it's correct. And, a lot of the times in our industry, people don't want to educate. And I think that's one of the biggest disservices we do is we don't educate appropriately. And then, the client ends up losing, our everything loses, especially here in San Diego when we're talking about our energy grid and things like that. Like, we're trying to make a difference here in San Diego. We're trying to make sure that people are aware of what they're getting and why we have to do things a certain way in order for it to work appropriately. And at the end of the day, some clients aren't our clients, and we're okay with that. We've seen clients after we've unfortunately walked away, and those are tough conversations, but we stood our ground and they understood it. And sometimes you got to swallow that pill.
Yeah, I mean that's a golden nugget right there. Is just not all clients are equal, and sometimes you have to make your pick, and that's hard to do. When you're staring in the face of potential revenue, and you're telling them no. Exactly. then I think a lot of younger businesses fall into that trap where they're like, okay, yeah, I can do it a little bit less. I can do it a little bit less. Or, I can cut some corners, or you don't need this sear, or, this tonnage, let's just go down on tonnage, even though that like for the size of the home, they need, the 3.5 versus the 3. Like, yeah, you can cut corners, but that thing's going to get overworked and it's not going to last, 10, 15 years. It's going to last, whatever, 5, 6, 7, and people are just waiting for that replacement call to come in, which isn't doing right by the customer. So, yeah, it makes total sense. And look, you guys have invested a lot in your branding. You see those little blue diamond little, caricature guys, it sticks in your mind. And it makes all the rest of the other marketing and branding and those types of things work out really well. And like you said, they're just like moving billboards everywhere around San Diego, just driving around. It looks good, looks professional, and people will pay for that quality. Tell me a little bit about, you guys got online booking set up on your website. Why was that a game changer for you guys? How did that kind of change things up for you?
Well, I mean, being a small business, I mean, we can't be at everyone's beck and call 24/7, right? And giving clients a platform to be able to schedule at their own convenience. I mean, we are in a transitional period, right? We've got levels of our generation that really doesn't want computers, right? They don't want to they want to interact with somebody. I would say that it's on its way out. It's a dying thing. We get so many people booking online, and they love the ability to choose their time, and it's a seamless process, right? I think the way that you have to design it and certain way, we've made a lot of modifications and changes by playing with it our own self, right? Or asking a family member or somebody else who's not even in the industry to physically go through this and schedule a call with us, please, and then finding where the issues or the hiccups were. That was a massive thing for us. But the online scheduling, it's just like anything else. If you have multiple fishing lines out there, you're able to catch more fish. If I only had one fishing line out there, my chances are pretty slim. So the online scheduling for us has been massive. I think we did that almost immediately when we joined with House Call Pro, because the way everyone shops these days seems to be online, and that process is familiar to them. So it's been wonderful.
I would say just going back to everybody's on different schedules. There's so many times where I go to bed around 9 o'clock at night, and then we wake up with three calls booked, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, who's going to be, maybe they're a doctor and that's their schedule. That's when they want to schedule. Like, if we make it easy, it's going to get done. They're, because now they got to wait till the morning, and now they got kids, they got to take the kids to school and all these other things going on. They can book it on their time. It's a super simple process. It's set up with Google, so it goes straight from our Google profile. You look at our reviews, you're like, book now, goes straight to a portal. They put their information in on their time. They can see our full schedule, click what day works best for them. And at the end of the day, we get so many compliments and praises, like, it was so easy to do. Like it was, I was surprised you guys showed up. I wasn't thinking anybody was actually going to show up. We're like, you booked an appointment. Of course we're going to show up. So it's just very cool. It feels like we have a virtual assistant almost.
It doesn't 10x us, but it certainly 4 or 5x's us in some aspects. I mean, just having the ability to have that at the fingertips.
Oh, there's a little bit of a pause there. Maybe my Starlink is not doing well, but I see you guys now, so hopefully we're good there.
It could be your Starlink or ours. So.
Yeah, we're out. What's a feature that now, that you love now, that you think is just the best thing that you wish you would have used when you first got started with House Call Pro back in 2020?
So mine would probably be a price book and templates. So when you first get in with House Call Pro, we didn't take advantage of it at first, but the Rhino price book is something that I would definitely recommend somebody to use when they're first getting started. Now, from there, we have now built our own price book, so technically we don't pay for that service anymore, but it take a lot of time on the back end to get everything set up correctly. But once you have it set up, it's done. So being able to do an estimate on the fly, pull all the equipment up, good, better, best, premium option within 5 minutes of being there. The technicians not having to, go to a price book, write all the pricing, get everything, spend 45 minutes of them working on a tablet where they're not actually communicating with the customer. So I think that was big for us. And then the templates, we have basically all our guarantees, warranties, everything already built, everything that we need in that project. So when they click the template, now they just click what equipment they need. So it streamlines that estimate process where now we can present in the house with them real quickly compared to saying, hey, I got to go back to the shop, build this estimate out, and then email it over. So the amount of percentage of closing rate we get with them offering that in the house compared to just sending it on the email is next to none.
I love it. What about you, Donovan?
Well, I think this is going to be, it's something that we started using in the beginning, but if you're not using it, I guess I'm going to be a little off topic on this, but the text messages, the I'm on my way, I finished my job. For us, I'm going to give a big golden nugget here. We were able to put our Google link attached to the text messages. And then essentially, at the end, when we hit finish, it's always asking for a review. Now, for us, if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And a lot of guys, they'll forget when they're inside the house to physically have that conversation. So we've seen a huge uptick in our responses from our clients just because we hit them with that link. It makes it real simple. It makes it really easy. So the automation there, I love that automation.
Yeah, and I think sometimes too, just having like an extra nudge, an extra thing, it doesn't necessarily save an awkward conversation, but you guys said in the beginning part of the podcast here that standardizing, optimizing, making sure people are following checklists and doing certain things is paramount to just building something that's repeatable and scalable. And so just having that every single time, knowing that's got your back, the golden nugget, putting that in the finished text automation, turning on the reviews feature as well gives you another ask. And so with those things, I mean, your guys' Yelp reviews, your Google reviews, like all of it just looks really great because you're asking, because you're doing it. So those are some awesome just House Call Pro tips. Before we wrap it up here, because we're above the 30 minutes already, this went really, really fast. You guys gave so many good, like, what's one thing each of you, so you each have to answer the question, you would tell your younger self, so 10 years ago, 5 years ago, before starting the business, what's something you would tell yourself if you wish, well, based upon what you know now?
When times get tough, just keep your head down. I mean, there's been many times you get into situations you've never been in before, and you can create some defeat in your own mind and your own head. I think there's been some challenges that have slowed us down because I get in my own way. So I think staying headstrong and knowing what the vision was and what the dream was and continuing down that path. We sit back and we laugh about the hard times now. It's things that we reminisce on because that's how we got here. But I think that's the one for me.
Yeah, I would say just do it. If you really want to do that, like there is going to be never a good time to rip that Band-Aid off. Like I know for me getting in this industry, my goal was always to have a business. Now I didn't know how that was going to work out. So I just put my head down and, try to learn everything I could. But when we did start the business, I mean, it we didn't have all the answers. We didn't have, everything we needed. It didn't look good. But I will say if you put the time in and you do everything, like for us, I mean, you look at the amount of hours we put into this. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then it's not going to be fun for anybody. And then two, if you are going to start a business, make sure your family's involved. Make sure everybody is seeing the vision. Everybody's on the same page, because nothing worse than starting a business, quitting your job. You got kids, family to support, And, the wife's not, seeing that same vision. She's like, yo, you're turning down, a good check, and now we're starting a business, we're doing this. So, get everybody involved. I mean, if everybody's together, everybody's on the same page, I feel like your success rate's going to be that much higher.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for sharing all these tips and golden nuggets. And it's clear you guys are just going to continue to do really well. You've got all the right things in the right place, the right culture, the right mindset. If pros ever want to reach out to you guys, you're easy to find. Thank you guys again for coming on. And for everyone else that's listening, stay tuned for another episode of the Superpro podcast next week. And if you're not using House Call Pro and you like what you heard, then you can always sign up by going to housecallpro.com/podcast deal. You can always text me too, 858-215-1512. That's my San Diego number. Thank you all for listening. And Brian, Donavan, thanks again so much for being on the show.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by House Call Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. House Call Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with House Call Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.